mouth is when I'm ocean waves.
Today on Never Legends podcast, I have Ellie Goodrich. She's a goalie for Alexandria City High School, Alexandria ASA soccer, and also recently she's been named to the U.S. National Futsal team. Ellie, thanks for doing this and congratulations.
Thank you for having me. Really
Oh,
excited.
of course. Always one of my favorite goalies. So Ellie, look, I was trying to figure out exactly. I was reading online about your recent appointment. So you're a part of the national pool that's going to be on the first national women's futsal team for the USA. Is that what it is?
Correct. Yes. Camp was last week.
Okay, great. Well, that's quite an honor. And I did notice there were three goalies, all from the DC area. Do you know all three, the other two goalies as well? And are you guys friends?
Yeah. So the other goalie, she's also my age. She came through Alexandria soccer as well. And then the other is a little bit older and plays at Intensity Futsal Club.
Okay. So are the reason why there's two other goalies from around here is there a lot of futsal played in this area and futsal's maybe more advanced around here than the rest of the country, or it just happens that you guys are in the same area?
Yeah. So I think the programs that we've been playing in have been really growing recently, and we have the platform up in Atlantic City to showcase ourselves, and the coaches get to see that. And at the end of the day, we got the invite, and I think we represented ourselves well out in California.
No, I'm sure. So folks who don't know, and I'm sure most folks who listen to me, know a lot about soccer and also futsal. Futsal is a completely different sport than soccer, but it's really indoor soccer with a smaller and heavier ball on more of a basketball type of court, and some indoor soccer they have walls that you can kick the ball off of. In futsal, the ball goes out of bounds when it goes outside. So it's a premium on foot skills and the ability to control the ball. It's a very exciting sport. It's very big in Brazil and South America, and it's one of the fastest growing sports and also type of soccer. Did I get that right, Ellie? Is it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's growing real fast here, and in Brazil and South American countries, it's where it's really big. And some players down there play more futsal over soccer, and that's where they kind of get their creativity that they are able to showcase on the world stage in the professional leagues.
Yeah. So is playing futsal goalie much different than playing goalie in soccer? It's a completely different skill. And my sense is that being tall, like you're a pretty tall goalie, is not quite as important as in futsal as it is in. I mean, is that as important as futsal as it is in outdoor soccer?
No, it's definitely not quite as important. It helps, of course, because being tall, you get to cover a little bit more of the goal. But as for the difference in playing, some skills are transferable, but a lot of shots are taken differently with the ball being heavier. It doesn't spin the same way. It knuckles a little bit more, or the strikers use their toe. They use a toe poke. So that changes the way it goes. A lot of times we're making more reaction saves. It's not as much of like an outdoor, we're taking a shot from 20 yards out and we can take a few steps and make the save. Instead, we're really limited to one or no steps at all. So a technique that's often used is just called the split save, and you're just using your legs, no hands, and trying to block the ball however you can. And then there are no goal kicks, so it's definitely interesting, that aspect where I just get to use my hands and throw it to my teammates in that way. There's also some restrictions as to how I can use my feet with how many times per possession, or it's only one, which is definitely interesting tactically to figure out with your teammates and understand how that can be used.
Yeah. So my son Chandler, and he used to always tell me that he didn't play that much futsal. He wasn't high level futsal like you are, but he said that it changed his timing a little bit, and also as a midfielder, you didn't have to check his shoulders as much. So he sometimes felt like playing futsal was was different, and then he didn't want to play too much futsal. Is it ever? And you're getting ready to go to Old Dominion and play soccer there, so you're a very accomplished soccer outdoor goalie as well. Is there any part of futsal that messes your timing up for outdoor at all, or the more futsal you play, the better it is for your outdoor game?
So it definitely helps me improve. But the most applicable it is in outdoor is just in 1v1 situations because I'm close to the ball and can make a split save or just a blocking save right into me. But it does mess up a little bit with I'm more used to using my legs and making split saves instead of diving, where I have to cover almost triple the size in an outdoor goal compared to futsal. So that transition is sometimes difficult. Going from futsal to outdoor is often more difficult than going from outdoor to futsal. But it's always interesting, and I enjoy spending my winters working on different things that I don't get to work on as much during outdoor season.
Yeah. Do you have a preference, futsal for in soccer, or you love both, just as long as you're playing?
I definitely love both. Soccer, I just enjoy the tactics of it, like more players on the field. I feel that I have more control. I can manipulate the game a little bit more, tell my teammates where to go. But in futsal, I get more action and it's a lot more fast paced. I don't know if I can really pick which one, but I am going to ODU for outdoor soccer. So,
Oh, yeah, and we'll get to your decision to go to ODU, but let's go back to how you got started in soccer. How did you get started, and were you always a goalie?
yeah, so my brothers, they played rec soccer. So kind of as soon as I hit age 4, I was into the rec program with ASA. And then at U9, I get into the academy, started on this like the B team, and then in a few years got up to the A team. Didn't start playing full-time goalie until really U12, U13-ish. Because, I mean, once you hit the big field, it's really important you got to kind of decide, like, if you're going to be a goalie or a field player. So that's how that worked. And when I was on the smaller field, there was another goalie that played, and then we split age groups. But once I got to the big field, it was just, all right, this is what I'm focusing on. And I grew to love it very quickly.
Who was the other goalie? I probably know the other girl.
Yeah, so before the age split, Emma Acker was the other goalie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. So you've only played for Alexandria in all the years you played soccer?
Correct.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So, okay. Now a lot of top players like yourself, you know, especially on the boys side, they moved to MLS Next, or at one point it was DA Academy.
Mhm.
It was other higher level than just club soccer. Whereas Alexandria now is MLS Next. Girls is a little bit different. You guys have GA and other things, but I know it's called something different. Do you think it's been good for you to always be in Alexandria in the same club, or do you think at some point you would have liked to have played for another club or in another league?
So for ASA, it's been really like the community is just where I've stayed and I've really felt at home there. So when I started getting into the college process, it was really thinking, okay, we weren't in the GA at that time when I was starting to think about recruitment. But I stuck with it and it ended up working out, obviously. But with MLS, I think it's good for the boys side. And then GA this past season has been great. We've been able to get quite a few players noticed and even committed off of that. But staying at ASA, I think for me, just how involved I am with them. I coach for them and do all the summer camps and stuff, and with the futsal program as well. I think that was the best decision for myself. For a lot of other players in the club, I understand going elsewhere. For me as a goalie, it's easier in some ways to get recruited. I'm much more individualized, so I don't necessarily need to be at all those different showcases. But I'm lucky and I had a very good, straightforward path through club soccer and into college soccer.
And also, Alexandria is different than many clubs in that it has a futsal club that's kind of attached to the travel club, so it was easily integrated into your training. Was that a big benefit to you as having being Alexandria, which had a developed futsal program as well?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and with some top coaches that have futsal experience, it's definitely helpful that one, they already knew me from outdoor. And then we just spring right into the futsal season and it's very smooth through that.
Yeah. So, who are some of your important coaches that you had? Who are some of the folks that taught you who made a difference in the type of player and goalie that you are today?
Yeah, so starting when I was younger, I had Will Hanna for quite a few years. He's well known, especially around ASA, and we had him back when he coached on the girls' side. And then goalkeeping wise, I had Peja, who now lives in Serbia. He was big.
There's two pages, right? Is there? Okay.
Correct, yeah. And then the second Peja, he still lives around here, and he's definitely been huge, working on so many different things, so many aspects of the game. I had Emily Kruger, former professional player with the Portland Thorns. She was my goalie coach for a while. Now I've got Chris Arnold, and I've just been grateful to have so many top coaches, especially within the club, that have been able to help me develop in the way that I have.
Yeah. And did you have one-on-one coaching as well? Did you have like a one-on-one trainer that worked with you as well, or did you mostly work with the coaches that you had in your club?
So I actually didn't really do too much one-on-one. I was able, like, because I know pretty much everyone in the club, I was able to sneak my way into multiple goalkeeper sessions, just whether it's with the boys teams or just the older age groups. I would be practicing 2, 3, 4 years older than me, and because I knew the coaches, I was able to get in. That's really where I improved.
Yeah, whenever I would drive by Witter Field, you were always on a field somewhere playing with with some coach, with some team. Always working on your game. What when you think about Alexandria soccer, I know it has a futsal program. It has a kind of defined style of play, kind of a passing game that some clubs may not have, especially at a young age. What are some of the ways Alexandria soccer has developed you and has been key in your development?
Yeah, so I think as the game has grown, it's been a little bit more of like a pretty style play. You want it to look good. So possession is key nowadays. So with ASA starting so young, focusing on possession instead of just kick and run, it's been huge because maybe in the beginning, I mean, I would go to games in Maryland and get crushed 9-0. Like it would be something like that just because we were trying to possess and we didn't have the fastest or the most physical players. But as you get into the older age groups, it really shows that focusing on possession all the way through player development has its good impacts later on. But ASA, for me, it's just been helpful to have the tactics wise. Like you can see, especially in the professional game, like you can watch a Man City or a Bayern Munich who just, they want possession and it looks good. It's why the beautiful game is the way it is. And I love it through ASA. Wouldn't want it any other way.
Yeah, I agree. So you mentioned earlier that you played on the B team early in your career. Was that ever tough on your confidence that you were on the top team, or was it a matter of sometimes at young ages it's not really in terms of goalies, they don't really focus on goalies until they're maybe 12 or 13. So at that point, maybe the taller kids are more important, or there's more specific goalie training there is at the younger ages.
Right. I was only on the B team for 1 or 2 seasons, so it was like a half and half goalie thing. I was also playing basketball and volleyball and all the other sports you could possibly do at that age, so I wasn't too serious about soccer. But of course, I'd had friends on the red team or whatever, and that was always a goal of mine. So when I did achieve that, it was awesome, and I felt proud of it because the next level up, you get the coaches. That's where I was able to get coached by Will Hanna, and eventually with playing with better teammates, you get better as a player, and that's ultimately the goal.
Yeah. Well, Alexandria has a great volleyball program, and obviously, basketball is pretty serious everywhere. Do you still play those sports as well?
No, I wish I did. I stopped
Oh,
back in middle school. I
yeah.
didn't make it into travel in any of those sports, just because I started focusing really on soccer.
Yeah.
But my brothers played baseball and stuff, and all the way through high school, so I was able to stay connected there.
Yeah. Well, who are some of your earliest heroes as goalie? Are there any professional goalies or even high school or college goalies that you modeled after or tried to play like?
Yeah, I mean, when I was growing up, it was the Hope Solo, right? The
Yeah.
2015 World Cup. That was thrilling, and I got to see someone, obviously in the later news, not so great, but she was a good player. Tim Howard as well. He playing in the Premier League, always looked up to him just as an American, and as US soccer has developed, we've gotten more players into the top leagues, but him being an early idol over there was great to have.
Yeah. I'm not sure if you saw one of my early podcast interviews, but I went to high school at Robinson with Jill Ellis. We were the same class. So Jill, obviously Coach Ellis was Hope Solo's coach at the USA team, and she's now the owner of the beach, the San Diego Surf franchise in the North American Soccer League. So anyway, yeah, Hope is great. So look, I know you also play for Alexandria City, and how important is it to you to have to play with your high school class? I know a lot of very good soccer players like yourself, and you're not just very good, you're on the national futsal team. High school at some point becomes kind of marginalized. It's not as important as your other commitments. But how important is it to you to play for Alexandria City?
Yeah, I mean, it's fantastic just to be able to get into the high school game. I think the style of play is completely different because you have less time to have good chemistry on the field. You're also mixing up to four age groups together, and that can give its challenges, but it's also a lot of fun to figure out those problems. With Alexandria City, we've always had a good club system that kind of inserts the players. I mean, we got Arlington, ASA, McLean, we've got everyone around that. And with such a big school, we get like such a good group of girls. And so far this season, it's been going well. I think our schedule kind of picks up after spring break in the next few weeks, but it'll be exciting, and already won a few district championships, made it to states last year.
Yeah.
Got to play with some college players who are succeeding really well right now. So it's always good to be able to look up to the older girls and have them pave the way and be idols for everybody else. And hopefully I can do the same for the younger girls right now.
Yeah. So it was never a question for you to play if you're playing high school. You're always going to play high school because I know that some kids, even Yorktown, my kids go to Yorktown. They have a great team, but they always have a few players in the school that don't play, even though they have a lot of Division I players that do play. Was there ever a question for you whether you're playing high school soccer?
With Alexandria City starting pulling players in the 8th grade, no, it wasn't. Just with ASA wasn't in like the top league that requires you to not play high school. So I started in 8th grade, played on JV, and then made varsity as a freshman. So it's just kind of always been there and always been in the plans. With GA this year, it was a slight hesitation, but as a senior, you got to do what you got to do to play, and hopefully bring some pride to the school and the team, and do your best and represent your school well.
Oh, so Alexandria ASA is in the GA now. It is in
Right.
the part. Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't know that. When did that happen? That's kind of a new thing.
Yeah, that happened last fall. So
Oh.
last fall, and then this spring it was GA, and then next year we'll be in a different league, but that'll be for the other kids.
Yeah. Well, so what does that? And we'll get back to your high school because I want to hear more about that. But what is being in GA? What does that mean? Is it more like in the boys' side when they had DA and then now it's MLS next? It just they play teams that are further away. They have different rules, different restrictions in terms of your other commitments. What is being on the GA meant to you?
Yeah, exactly. It's just how ASA got into MLS. It's a big step up for the program as a whole. GA, higher quality players. You're traveling farther for sure. I mean, we're going to Philadelphia, New Jersey, and all the places, and playing good competition. GA also, it's more practice time, right? Like we've got 4 practices a week, as opposed to 3 for the normal academy teams, included in there as a performance session. So ASA is really supported through that, and it's great that we're able to get the exposure to mostly those are the leagues, MLS and GA, that the college coaches are attending their showcases and going to tournaments, and it's just a good thing for branding to be able to be like, yeah, I was in the GA, and that's an automatic light bulb for college coaches.
Yeah, and there's no restriction in GA about playing high school soccer, or even some of your teammates might play other sports. So unlike MLS Next, are there restrictions on what else you can do?
No restrictions. It's just commitment, right? So if you got a coach that would rather you not play, then that's kind of up for you guys to decide. But MLS, there's a strict rule that you can't play high school. With GA, there isn't, neither with ECNL or other leagues that I know of.
Okay, great. So, in Alexandria City, Ellie, there was another really good goalie that you played with the last few years. She plays at Georgetown now. Her name is Kara. I can't think of her last name. What's her last name?
Martin.
Oh, Kara Martin. Yeah. Another great goalie. Was it difficult for you to be in the same program as Kara? Because, one thing about being a goalie, you don't really substitute goalies very much. You either go with one or the other. It's not like, it's not like 10 other field players where you can find a place for, any talented player. Was it difficult to be in the same program with Kara at Alexandria City?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it was difficult. It was definitely a new experience playing with ASA. It was just me as the goalie. But when I got to ACHS, Kara only played in goal senior year. And obviously that was my junior year. So we were competing for playing time. Eventually she kind of found that starting spot, which I thought was very well deserved because I was just able to learn so much. I think playing with her, playing against her, seeing her in practices, warming up with her just improved my game as well, just to see her level. And I think it was definitely a beneficial thing. Of course, I want to play all the time. But then you also get the moments off the field with sitting on the bench with your teammates and just bonding over that.
Yeah, so your sophomore year, you probably started, and then Kara didn't play till her senior year. Was that what you're saying? She didn't.
So sophomore year, yes, I started. I played most of the year. There was another goalie who was also on the team, but she was injured majority of the year. Kara played on the field during that year.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Yeah, which was quite interesting. I considered doing that, but I think I didn't want to one up her. But yeah, I started sophomore year for the majority of the games.
Yeah. So what kind of experience is it playing for your high school rather than a club, or even now the U.S. team? Is it very special to play soccer for your high school than it is? Is it different than playing for your club team?
Absolutely, yeah. It's a lot different. I mean, you get different fans out. You get your peers and classmates coming, teachers come, but also it's just a different role on the team. I think that you, as the upperclassman, you got to pick up more of a leadership role, kind of guide the younger ones. Like last year, we had a freshman center back who that came in and didn't think she would start, but then by the end of the season, she was the first name on the team sheet. And for her to learn, and I can teach her some more niche things that maybe she doesn't get from someone her own age when she's playing club, and her goalkeeper has the same level of experience. So I've enjoyed kind of being able to teach some more specific tactical things to my teammates, especially the back line.
Yeah. Do you have to be more patient with a high school team where you have less high level players than you'd have on a club team, a GA team where all players are very high level? Do you have to approach the game differently as the goalie? You get to be more patient in terms of your instruction and how you play the game?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, communication is huge, and I think that's a big part of my game. So it's tone of voice and when you choose to say certain things with players that, like you said, may not be as high level, right? They could be playing at a variety of different leagues in different clubs on different teams. They come from very different backgrounds. They have different playing experiences. So especially as the goalie, that's my job. I have to be patient. And if something goes wrong, that's when we have a one-on-one and be like, look, this is what we can improve. But if something goes right, I'm the first one to be like, yeah, and praise them and hopefully help them along the way and their soccer development.
Yeah. Is the shot stopping any different in high school? Is the actual mechanics of playing goalie any different than it is at club or well, I guess futsal of course is going to be different, but at least in terms of high school versus club?
I do find it different because you play against teams where kids have graduated the year before or kids decide not to play because it's club season.
Right.
So you really have a mixed bag as to talent. You never know like how the shot is going to come out with and also how your defenders are going to react, right? Like you might not have the chemistry for someone to know that, okay, now I step and try to block the shot. Sometimes it's more difficult when you're playing against players with less talent because they're more unpredictable. So it makes you really think more and slow the game down at certain points to be able to react and make the best decision. Hopefully, keep the ball out of the net.
Yeah. So who is your high school coach at Alexandria City?
Right now I have Coach Allie and Coach Liz. They're both the coaches. I think they have been for the past 7 or 8 years, so
Yeah.
good consistency in that sense.
Well, as a goalie, does it matter a lot who your coach is, or your job is pretty defined, so it doesn't really matter too much who your coach is?
I think it's I'm more isolated for sure. Like this year I don't have to worry as much about playing time or whatever, but it does impact me, of course, by their team selection and how they want to run things. But it's nice that I've had them for 4 years and I kind of know how they run and work things out.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the team. I mean, you guys are off to, I believe, a 3-0 start. Is that correct, Ellie?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So the team so far it's doing about as good as you can do.
Actually,
So-
4-0.
But 4-0. Okay. Yeah. Sorry about that. So tell us a little bit about this year's team. I know you got to the state, you got to the regional final last year in the state quarterfinal because I actually took photos of your game against Yorktown. So tell us about your team this year.
Yeah, so this team, this year we've got six seniors or so. We've kind of all grown up playing together through ASA. No freshmen, and then juniors and sophomores got a big class there. We're building the off-field chemistry pretty well, and on the field, I think we've clicked really well. We definitely have some more pieces to put together, but we're finishing really well. Our assists have been good, and we've been scoring some pretty good goals. I think we've only let in 4 goals this season as a defensive line, which is pretty decent this early in the season. So I'm excited. I think we've got a good shot, especially at districts, and we'll see how far we go in region and states.
Yeah. Well, I think I know you had to travel some for for futsal camp, but I believe you went out of the country for that. Did you have to miss some high school games when you traveled?
Yeah, I missed both the scrimmages while I was away for a FIFA's World Cup in Argentina. But I actually landed the day of our first game against them, so I was able to make it to that, and we were able to get the result there and hop right off the plane and get the job done.
Yeah. Well, you have a big showdown coming against Yorktown, I believe, after spring break. I assume it's your spring break as well, because I know Arlington kids are gone or spring break next week. So Yorktown, obviously, you guys are considerably overmatched last year when you guys played in the regional final. So what do you think about the Yorktown rematch? Are you confident going into that match?
Honestly, I have no idea how their team is looking. I know that they had some top players that were seniors last year, but we also did too. So who knows how it's going to go, but I think our team is prepared and I'm excited. I think hopefully I'll have quite a bit of action and maybe,
Not too much.
yeah, I mean, hopefully not too much, but I do enjoy some action every once in a while. But I think we can maybe pull out a tie and I mean, go for the win, of course, but I think they've got some top players as well all around the field.
Yeah, speaking of action, last year when I went to the game, I took a lot of pictures of you, which means you're in the game a lot, which means probably they're getting a lot of shots on goal, Ellie. So maybe it was a tough matchup last year. So, well, anyway, I wish you luck, and I definitely will be there to see that. I know you signed with Old Dominion and you signed as a junior, I believe. So why did you choose Old Dominion, and who's the coach there? And tell us a little bit about Old Dominion soccer.
Yeah, so the head coach is Coach Angie Hind. She comes over from Scotland, and so she's got the excellent accent and everything. But ODU, I went to one of their ID camps, summer from sophomore to junior year, and they got into contact, and we kind of stuck together. And I kept going to their camps, went on a few visits, met the team, talked with the coaches on the phone, and all I got was positive energy. And I love the way they ran their program and where they see the future. And they've been doing great recently. Two-time or past 2 seasons, they've won their conference championship and made it to the NCAA tournament, which is so fun to see. But ODU, I haven't had too many doubts. I didn't have to search too hard for it, which was great. I'm glad that it was a very easy process, but I feel very confident in where I'm going, and I'm happy with my decision.
Yeah. Yeah. It's terrible to be close to the beach. I mean, that's not going to, it's going to be horrible to have to go to the beach and just relax and sit there in the sand and stuff.
Always,
What was that?
always tough being by the beach.
Yeah. So when you play college soccer, are they going to be patient with your futsal assignments? So if you get called up to the national team, would that be a conflict when you're playing for Old Dominion?
I certainly hope so. I mean, they know what I've been doing. I've been very communicative with it. But as the invites come in, it'll be kind of on a basis of what's the situation. Am I competing for a starting spot? Because obviously ODU, that's going to be my priority. I'm an outdoor player that plays futsal, but with college, I think that's got to be my focus. And once I get there, I'm not sure how much I want to leave, to be honest. But of course, as national team duty call is like, I will do my absolute best to be there and perform at my highest potential.
Yeah, yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be competitive, and you're not gonna want to miss too much once you're there. So that'll be exciting. So one thing that you did early is you committed as a junior, and a lot of players, especially on the girl side, commit. I mean, the Yorktown players, Aminata Davis committed to Brown as a junior, and Amora Flynn committed, I believe, to Miami as a junior. So a lot of players commit early. Why is it that players commit early? Is it because teams they want to fill out their slots early, so they have some kind of certainty and going forward who's going to be on their team, or what is the rationale behind committing early for college in girls soccer?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely situation by situation and player by player. I can only speak from my experience. When I got my offer, it was, you get a time limit and you got to make your decision, right? Coaches, I understand they need to they need to know if you're going to commit, because if you're not, then they got to go recruiting again and figure out and try and fill in that spot that they thought you were going to take. And they're also spending money on you, right? If they're going to pay for an official visit, they want to be confident that you're going to stick with them. But recruiting as a junior is definitely a very good. I loved it. Just, you can take an easy senior year. You know where you're going. Kind of get assimilated into the group. I've been to ODU quite a few times, hung out with the team, and been able to watch games and just have confidence that I can play freely and not have to stress over those things and do college applications and those types of stressful things that go into the decision making. But so if you can commit as a junior, go for it. I would recommend it. And there's always an option of decommitting. Not the best decision in my opinion. Just you're gonna promise to go there, you should go there. But you have a little bit of a safety net in that case.
Yeah. Well, have you decided what you want to major in at Old Dominion?
I haven't. It'll probably be something around business. Just, it's pretty general and applicable, but I don't know. I'm just focused on soccer at the moment. Not too worried. I know I got to pick a major.
Yeah. So I think I noticed your mother's Instagram name has something to do with Hokies. did your mother give you a hard time when you committed to Old Dominion and not wait for Virginia Tech?
So both my parents did go to Virginia Tech, and
Oh,
they
sorry.
they met there. So there's definitely, I grew up a Virginia Tech fan. I went to their ID camp and had nothing but a positive experience. But at the end of the day, it's who wants you. So ODU was, they reached out to me, so I'll go with them. And I enjoyed watching the Hokies basketball in March Madness right now, and
Mhm.
hopefully they get to go all the way and
Yeah.
bring it for Hokies.
Yeah, this might be something that you don't know about yet, but in soccer, do they redshirt a lot of the freshman players? Is that something that they talk about? Do they is that an option? Is that something that you would consider, or is that something that
It's an option. I hope to be competing for the spot as soon as I get there.
Mhm.
So if I get enough appearances, that kind of goes out the window. I also don't want to stay in school super long, so I don't really love school. So redshirting would require me to stay in school an extra year. But if I'm not satisfied with freshman year, then absolutely that would be something to consider. And it is a possibility, but fingers crossed I don't have to do that.
Yeah, my guess is you'll play right away. You're a great goalie. So what about beyond college? Have you thought about like so my sister was a very good soccer player. She was class of 82 at Robinson. I was 84. We're old guys, old folks. But back then there was no women's soccer, pro soccer, and matter of fact, there was no men's pro soccer at the time. Now obviously there's been a viable men's league in the United States for many years, and our top players play overseas. Now, the last 5, 6, 10 years, there's a viable women's league, so women can play pro and they can also go overseas and play. Have you ever thought about playing pro soccer after college?
Oh, for sure. I mean, that's my ultimate goal. Of course, I just love the game so much, and that's what I would love to do with my life. And I'm glad that the game is growing, especially I think after this summer, it's going to take off once again after the World Cup, and
Oh, that's
hopefully
great.
the U.S. has a good showing. But I'm glad, like, it's not only the U.S., the NWSL is succeeding. I think the teams overseas are doing well. I know the Women's Champions League is going on, and I think the game is really growing, and it's awesome to see that around the world, not just around here, but the NWSL is definitely a goal.
Oh, awesome! Yeah, you'd be great. What about coaching? Now, I always thought the goalies made great coaches because they get to see the game, the whole game, the whole field for very many years. You've coaches love you. Coach Wasaki mentioned you when I interviewed him. You're the kind of player that you work hard and you definitely want to be there. So you're the kind of player that coaches love to coach. Have you ever thought of being a coach yourself when your playing days are over?
100%. Yeah.
Oh,
I love coaching. I do it a couple of times a week here. I do private sessions. I assistant coach. I run goalkeeper sessions. Through ASA, they've been great. They've given all these opportunities. I feel like sometimes coach my teammates too. Just as like you mentioned, as the goalkeeper, you see things, you can notice things, and I love that aspect. And it's definitely made me a better player, being able to understand more of the technical side. Because as you're coaching someone who maybe has never done a skill, you really have to break it down, and that really, at the end of the day, does help you as a person and as your soccer development continues.
yeah. So look, we talked a lot about soccer today, and I'm sure you have a great career in soccer. But do you have any goals outside of soccer? Other things you'd like to accomplish in life besides soccer at this point?
I mean, I think the past few years it's just been soccer. But I of course going to school is important, and if soccer doesn't work out, like knock on wood, no injuries happen or things just don't work out my way, I think that I'll have a good backbone, and my parents and family has always been supportive, and hopefully I can have a family eventually and find a place to live that I really enjoy and get a good job that will make me happy in the end.
Yeah, that'll be when you're 45 and you're after a 20-year career in the NWSL. So, well, anyway, Ellie, I mean, look, you're a great goalie. I've enjoyed watching your development over the years. I've taken a lot of pictures of you. Probably almost as much as any other player other than my own son. So I've enjoyed watching you. Always very nice, very respectful to coaches and parents and stuff. So I wish you luck, and I definitely will come watch you guys play against Yorktown and definitely follow the rest of your career. And I just wish you well, and I really appreciate you doing this.
No, thank you. I appreciate you. All your photos are fantastic. I've definitely used them on multiple occasions. So I appreciate all this support, and you continue to always impress me with your skills.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I always find good use of my spare time. But I love the game, and it's great to follow great players. So anyway, again, Ellie, it's been great. Thanks for doing this, and I will definitely see you on the field soon.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye, Ellie.